Welcome to this edition of Titan Lear Talks. We're here with Coach Marcus Freeman of the University of Cincinnati. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be on here.
So you are on here as part of our Young Guns series. So you are 34 years old. You've been the defense coordinator at UC since you were 31. So why don't you kind of take us through your journey? Like, how have you gotten to this point?
Okay. Well, I grew up in Huber Heights, Ohio. Went to Huber Heights, Wayne, and played under Jay Minton there. And I'm going to tell you this because I think it all has to do with where I've gotten to. You know, played under Jay Minton, Huber Heights, Wayne. Went to Ohio State for 4 years. Played under Jim Tressel from 2004 to 2008. Played in the NFL 2009. Was drafted to the Chicago Bears, and then got out of the NFL after that 1 year and GA'd at Ohio State in 2010. And then GA'd there under Luke Fickell, who was also my position coach at Ohio State. And then went from there to Kent State with Darrell Hazel, who was the wideouts coach at Ohio State when I was there. And he got the head coaching job at Kent State and was there for 2 years. We won the MAC championship and went to Purdue. I was in West Lafayette for 4 years. And the last year being the co-defense coordinator there at that defense. And then when Coach Fickell got this head coaching job at Cincinnati, I came here with him and been just going on our fourth year here. So that's kind of how I've gotten to where I'm at. Obviously, there's different, obviously, leaders and different things that have contributed to where I've gotten to. But I think each guy from Jay Minton to Jim Tressel to Luke Fickell to Darrell Hazel to coming here has all had an impact on me becoming the defense coordinator at Cincinnati.
So, Coach, with that, obviously you took on this role as being defense coordinator. You're 31 years old. There's probably a lot of people looking at you like, man, that's really young. So what were some of those challenges that you faced, and then how did you overcome them?
Well, I think you're never fully prepared until you do it. Is anybody a first-time head coach ever ready to be a head coach? I think there's things that you have to learn by doing something. I think, for me, our first year we failed. We were terrible on defense. We won 4 games. We probably should have won 1. But I think that's a big, big reason for why I'm at the place where I'm at now. The next 2 years, we were top 10 in the country in defense. We won 11 games back to back. But you always try to prepare yourself, but you have to learn by fire sometimes. You got to learn being in the seat. And everybody wants to be a head coach. Everybody wants to be a defense coordinator. So you're actually doing it. You say, ooh, maybe I wasn't as prepared as I should be. And I don't know if there's something more you can do. You should ask questions. I guess the best advice I give to other assistants that want to be defensive coordinators or that aspire to be in a position of leadership is to continue to ask questions. If you don't know, ask questions. Make people earn their paycheck. Make people tell you what they know, because knowledge is invaluable. In order to know something, you have to ask questions and not always assume. And that's the thing that I think I've done and I'll continue to do. Being in the city I'm in now, I believe this and I tell this to our team all the time is that great players, great people, great coaches, great teachers, they want to be told the truth. They want to be coached, right? And it's hard sometimes. It's humbling. But I want people to coach. I want people to evaluate me and make me better. Coach Fickell's my coach, right? He's the head coach of Cincinnati. He's been my coach since I was a player. And I go to him for feedback, for honest feedback, and he'll give it to me. He's not going to sugarcoat things. I need him to tell me different areas that I need to improve on. And that could be very humbling, like I said, at times. But to me, in order to grow, you have to have that honest feedback.
So, you mentioned the idea of being a head coach. So, being a defense coordinator, that next logical transition is probably to be a head coach somewhere. So what are things that you are doing now in your current role that you think are going to benefit you, when you decide to take that next step?
There's multiple different things. You're always looking for ways to enhance as a leader, right? I think no matter what position you are, you're a leader. It might be not of a leader of the entire team. You might be a leader of a position, right? But I believe I tell our other assistant coaches on defense that you guys are the head coach of your position. So our D-line coach is the head coach of that unit. Our linebackers coach, which is myself, is the head coach of that unit. Me being the head coach of the defense. But you always have to evaluate yourself. You always have to find different ways to improve. And And ultimately, I think the better leader you become of something, the better leader you'll be when you become a head coach. You're just in charge of a totally bigger group. I think that's something that you definitely have to do is find ways to enhance as a leader personally. You got to go meet people. You got to talk to people. You got to pull Coach Fickle and say, hey, tell me what it's like to be a head coach. What are the things that I don't know that, I probably should be prepared for? Talk to different athletic directors. You got to interview. And a lot of times it's practice interview, right? You got to practice interview. And I'm fortunate to have some friends that are or colleagues that are athletic directors in the business. And at times I'll interview with them to work at it. And that could be, again, it's humbling, right? You have to humble yourself to get honest feedback. But if you never do that, then you're going to assume you're ready and you got a chance to bomb an interview or bomb the opportunity to get that job.
So what are some of the things that Coach Fickle's done you think that also help you kind of grow in your role and potentially make you, better prepared to be a head coach down the road?
He puts you in positions of leadership. I mean, he has you talk to the team. He has you go. We have a donor thing we have to go to tonight. That again, that's something that head coaches always have to do. But it's something that he's kind of incorporated me into to be able to go and get this experience of being able to talk to donors and talk to administrators and talk to the president, talk to the provost. You got to know a lot of different people when you're talking about being the head coach of a college. Then all of a sudden, I know Mike Vrabel really well, who's the head coach of the Titans. That's a totally different thing where, it's not provosts and academic people and other students that you have to interact with. Now you're talking about GMs and owners and fans and different things like that. So they'll give you what you ask for, right? If you just sit here and you go to work every day and you don't ask for anything, then you're probably not going to get any opportunities to do those things. But if you're in his office saying, hey, coach, any opportunity you get to incorporate me or help me learn or grow in a profession, I think most bosses or most leaders will.
All right, so we talked about some of the challenges with being young. So what are some of the advantages? Like, how do you take your youth and your energy and play it to your advantage in recruiting or coaching or, whatever it might be?
Yeah, it's to be able to relate to the players. I think your age helps you do that. Being able to connect with them, having something in common. That's something I use with our current players. I use with recruits is that although at times I feel like it, I'm not too far removed from playing. You better think my last year playing was 2009. So that's almost 11 years ago. Wow, that is a long time. But, I try to tell them it's not as long as they would think. And the thing I try to use with them is that I've done it. I've been in your shoes. I've been to where you want to go. Everybody has the ultimate goal at Cincinnati, I'm sure, is to play in the NFL. I've done that. And I know the things that it takes, but also I know the things maybe that I didn't do that I want to instill in you that you don't have any regrets, right? And that's what they got to understand is that I tell you to do these things because I know it's going to help you get to your ultimate goal. And I think being younger, being able to connect with those guys, being able to understand some of the issues on and off the field that they have helps you when you talk about that connection and being able to relate to the young people.
So looking at your social media and UC football social media, I mean, it might be some of the best I've seen across the country, right? I mean, you guys got amazing graphics, right? The UC in red stuff, I love that one. You guys had the TikTok competition. When you guys win football games, it looks like a dance party breaks out, right? Your weight room is crazy. You guys got the tunnel with all the strobe, right? Like you have all this stuff. So, what was it, and then you also came from Ohio State, which is a much more like traditional, like, stoic university, especially when Jim Tressel was there. Okay. So what was it about, you guys coming to UC that you made this decision, hey, we're going to be this young and aggressive culture? Like, what made you do that? And then how has that played to your advantage?
I think the biggest thing is being able, I think we've already talked about being able to relate to your players. right? When all of a sudden, is that a whole bunch of fun for me to do a TikTok? I mean, I wouldn't say it's the first thing I wake up and think about doing, but it's the ability to relate to your players and show them that you're human, and relate to recruits, relate to fans, and show them that you are human. You know, you show them your family, you show them your wife, and those are things that I think we're all trying to do is, again, develop relationship with your players. How do you do that? You get outside your comfort zone, right? Just like you just said, when I was going at Ohio State, we were very, you know, we didn't play music. You know, Coach Tressel said, you motivate yourself however you do it. We're not playing music. We're not doing strobe lights. We're not doing the stuff that we kind of do here. But I think, I don't know if it's as much as Coach Tressel versus Coach Fickle, as much as it's early 2000s versus 2020, you know, and being able, the technology and being able to find different ways to communicate with your guys. I think we've taken advantage of it. Social media is huge. Social media is huge with all generations. So we have to utilize it. You know, music is huge with all generations, especially this young generation. So we have to utilize. I don't think I'm going to listen to the exact same thing that our current players listen to, but I try to listen to some of it so I can relate to them. I can have a conversation with them because it can be so powerful. The things they like on social media, the post game, and I think post game is more of appreciating the fact of all the hard work, you know, and that you put into something. You know, I think at Ohio State, sometimes when you're so used to winning that you take that for granted. You know, we win. That's what we do. If it's not by enough, we're going to be upset about it. Whereas I think going to Purdue sometime, and I lost. We won 9 games in 4 years. You know, our first year here, we won 4 games. And it makes you appreciate winning. And that's what I don't want our guys to get used to winning in terms of it's stagnant. It's just something that's expected. No, I want you to celebrate the wins because we put an extreme amount of hard work into what we do. And I want to make sure those guys understand we appreciate their work. We're going to celebrate this work before we get moved on to the next opponent. So, again, the big picture is just understanding that you want to relate to your guys, relate to the young generation.
So, you know, along with the branding, and we talked about, you know, some of the different social media things, you've done a great job of creating a subculture within Coach Fickle's team, right? You have the Blackcat Defense. So, you know, talk us through that. Like, you know, how do you create your own culture, you know, while respecting what Coach Fickle wants? And then, you know, how do you use that and really use it as motivation or, you know, whatever it is that you guys do with it?
Well, it all starts with understanding what the culture of the program is, okay? And the culture of the program and our team culture is effort and attitude, competitive spirit, and then unit strength. And that's Coach Fickle's culture for our team. And when you create a subculture, as we call it, is creating something that still is in line with the culture of the team, but something that your defense can feel specific to it. Then I'm sure each position group might have its own subculture of, hey, in our room, this is what our culture is going to be like. But it's nothing but words unless your guys can understand what it is, right? And we have what we call the Blackcat brand. You know, this is our brand. This is how we play defense. And it still fits under Coach Fickle's culture for our team. You know, and ours is challenge everything, unit strength, and then the Blackcat fundamentals, which all fit into the culture of the team. And what you don't want to do is just start having some stuff that completely disaligned with what your head coach has for the team. But also you want to make sure you give your players something that, hey, this is different. Hey, I know we're one team. We all got our team culture, but the defense, the Blackcat brand, here's who we are. And then they start taking ownership of it. Then they start holding other people accountable, right? If you don't play to this brand, to this standard, okay, then you're not going to be a part of the Blackcat defense. And now I think going into year 3 where they start to see the statistical rewards, right? You're the top 10 in the country in defense. The past 2 years, you win 11 games. You're known as a Blackcat brand. Now they take ownership of it, and they really take it to heart, and they hold the other guys accountable. Whereas defense coordinator, I can sit there and say, okay, we're good. We're in good hands. And then when the players start running the culture, running the brand, as we call it.
So along with that, you know, when you're creating your culture, it's always good to, you know, find cool ways to brand it or ways where kids see it constantly, right? So obviously you guys got the hashtag, you know, this was probably made famous way back, Nebraska, the black shirt defense, you know, we all remember that stuff. So what are some of the things that you guys do to really push that and make it exciting for the kids?
The kids love gear, right? So
Right.
we give them gear. We talk about the Black Cats being something different. It's got to be something they believe in. It can't be something that they just say or something that I have to say all the time. It's got to be something they believe in. And it's your job as the leaders to get them to believe in it and to play kind of with that brand, that stigma that you're giving them. That's the Black Cats, as we call it, and I think you got to be creative as a leader. You got to show them examples. Like, this is what we want. We do a really good job of showing them exactly what we're talking about. Hey, this is what we talk about when we talk about challenge everything. This is what we talk about when we talk about the Black Cat fundamentals. This is an example, and you celebrate it and you praise it and you promote it. Then all of a sudden they start becoming addicted to it. Like, this is what I want. This is the standard that I want. This is what I want to achieve. So you got to make it cool. You got to make it creative. But to me, it's the biggest thing is they got to see it. They got to see that this will make them better. If they believe in the culture, they believe in the brand, and they perform at that standard, they got to see a bit physically that it makes them better. And I think that's what they all want. At the end of the day, they all want to improve. They all want to get better. And it's my job as the defense coordinator to make sure I'm showing them, if they submit to this culture, if they are unselfish and play the way that we have, that we've set as the standard for our Black Cat defense, then they'll see the rewards for themselves individually come out of it.
So one of the things that we talk about with culture, and a lot of coaches have said this, is, culture is great when the coaches are driving it, but it really takes hold when the players drive it. So now that you've been doing this for a couple of years, I'm sure you see players that are really emphasizing, the Black Cats and stuff like that. So, how has that made a difference on your team?
It's tremendous. When your players can implement and hold the standard of your culture, then that's, to me, where great things can happen. Because it's our job as coaches to be up there and talk about this is our culture and talk about this is the way you should play and this is the things you should do. But when our players start doing it, that means there's belief in it. And then our players start holding others accountable. But I don't think your players really own it, and they don't believe in it until they see the benefits of it. So that's why it's hard. The first year you come in and you say, hey, this is our culture. This is what we're going to do. I want you players to own it. I want you players to implement it and to take ownership of it. But they don't see the rewards. You have to show them how they'll benefit from what you're saying. And I think that's our goal as coaches. Is we don't get blind obedience. I say something, but my dad's an old military guy. So my dad used to say, hey, Marcus, you run right. I'm going to run right. Marcus, you do this, you do that. Yes, sir. He's an old military guy. If I said no, there was going to be repercussions for it. Well, this generation isn't like that. I don't think you have many kids that have blind faith, blind obedience. Just do what you say. They want to know why. And it's our job, to me, it's our job to explain to them why so they understand. Now, if you understand why, okay, then there's two reasons I believe that young people don't do things. One, they don't know, so it's our job to tell them why, or two, they don't care. Well, if you know and you don't do it, then you don't care, then you probably shouldn't be a part of our group anyway. So, again, it's our job to set the standards, set the culture, but also to show it how it will benefit them so they can now take ownership of it.
All right, last question for you, Coach. This is always one of my favorites. So you've been all over the country recruiting. Okay, you've been in hundreds, maybe thousands of high schools. Okay, when you walk into a high school, what are the things that you see that you're like, man, this is an elite culture? Take players' athletic ability out of it. Like, what are the things that you see that man, this is the school, this is the one?
I really, really enjoy watching teams work out. And I'm not saying run as much as I like to see them lift. And I like to show up probably 5 to 10 minutes before they're supposed to start. Because to me, that's where you see the culture show. That's where you see, the type of team there is. Is everybody there on time? Are they all, most places, a lot of kids are wearing the same thing. Is it clean? Are the kids, ready to work when the coach says go? Or is there kids coming in late? Is it all scattered? Is it organized? Because a lot of times, if it's unorganized, then that's on the coaches, right? If there's no organization, the kids are going to do what they're demanded of. So if there's no organization, I'm going to look at the coach like, this is a little bit unorganized. if there's kids running in at 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, they're allowed to just jump in. It's like, what are we accepting? So I love to watch teams work out. I love to watch the energy in weight room. I love to watch young guys pushing each other and motivating each other. And I love when coaches get involved. I love to watch coaches sometimes sit there. A lot of coaches, you see them sit down, they're not involved. They're in the weight room, but they're just sitting down and watching. They're observing. That's my job, kind of to observe as a recruiter. I'm an observer, I think as a coach, if you're going to be in there, you've got to encourage and you got to help and you got to work with your kids and be hands-on. So I really like to see that. That's where I think I get my greatest observance of what type of team and culture you have. It's not the things you see. It's not the things on the wall. Sometimes I do look at championship trophies. If you got a history of championship trophies, you're doing something right. I like to look at the trophy case. But the biggest thing I like to see, the organization, the energy, the type of environment that happens in that weight room.
Perfect, Coach. Well, we appreciate you giving some time to us. Any closing thoughts?
No, it's been fun, man. We could do this all day, but it's been fun. And anytime I can come back, let me know. I would love to be on here.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Thanks, Coach.